Hey, everybody. This is Jeremy from Jets Chaos. Few things. Did a video the other day. You may have seen it on Brock Bowers. Some lunatics don't like to watch the whole video or really pay attention to what I'm saying. My whole point of that video was to show you that you can make players look great and you can make players look bad when you're taking and slicing film. A lot of the reaction was, you attacked Joe Blewett. I did not attack Joe Blewett. I love Joe Blewett. I respect the hell out of Joe Blewett. He's 10 times the film expert than I am. And when I made that video, it had nothing to do with Joe Blewett. It had to do with thousands of people on Twitter, Jets fans. I was reading it like crazy, arguing back and forth. Either Bowers is a future Hall of Famer, or the opposing argument was he absolutely is the worst player and cannot play football. And I was just addressing that. I was saying, well, if he can't play football at all, why is he on every analyst's board top 10 pretty much? He's pretty much ranked top 10 on almost any board you look at. Why is that? And then I looked at film where he was doing some great things. And at the very end, I showed you him dropping a contested pass in the end zone to bring validity to what people are saying, that he didn't, that he struggled with contested catches. Also, I addressed the blocking by saying, yes, he is not lined up in line. He's not an inline blocker. That's not his specialty. That's not his game. But that's not what I was saying. I wasn't trying to hide the fact that he's not an inline blocker. I was saying he does the other blocking well. He blocks well in space. He could block, for a running back when he's running around the end. Like, he could do those things. So my point was, and this is fine, if your problem with Brock Bowers, if you don't like him as a tight end, is because you think for a top 10 pick, you should get the full gamut. You should get a tight end that does everything in line also, that you can line up in line like you would a Jeremy Ruckert, for example. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that take at all. And I never said there was. What I'm saying is that people shouldn't go on and exaggerate to prove their point, get to a level where now they're saying things that are just nonsense, saying that he's unable to block anyone and can only get in people's way and is a horrendous blocker is not the same thing as saying he's not an inline blocker, right? Because there are plenty of tight ends in this league, depending on the scheme, that are used offset slot. And sure, if you don't want that kind of tight end, if you think that tight end doesn't fit into your team, that's a valid take. And that's fine. And that's not what I was saying. And it's clear, it's all over the video. I keep saying it. I say that I don't necessarily say I want to draft Brock Bowers, because I don't know that he's what our biggest need. I don't know that he's perfect for our scheme. I also say that this is very biased. I say it. I say this is very biased. Yet I have some tomfoolery of a guy saying, I lost respect for you, Jeremy, because you're just showing the tape that you want to show and you're not showing him as an inline blocker. That was the whole point. I'm sorry I didn't know that I have to give an intelligence test to people who watch my videos. I mean, listen to what I'm saying, but people have to run to their comment. And also I would tell people to seek therapy if they get so angry about it, because I'm just doing a video. And it's just one person's opinion, no matter what I say. So to get so angry about it, therapy. Believe me, the field could use more of it. The more of people that go to therapy, the better it is for people like me who could provide it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I always just want to say that. I want to talk about Clowney. How do I feel about Clowney? People ask me that. And it's a good question. I think that Clowney is an excellent football player. He not only, it's not just the sacks. Well, he can get 9 sacks, 10 sacks. That's fine and dandy. That's not exactly what we're looking for, or what I feel the need is. I mean, I feel comfortable with McDonald's and JJ. What I like about Clowney is I wasn't really sure, are we ready to trust Clemens in a very increased role, because he took a step down last year. Now, I love Clemens personally, and I'm one of his biggest fans, and I'm really rooting for him. And it saddens me that we're looking to take away his reps, because I honestly believe that if Clowney comes in, he's going to be an early down, play with JFM. Now we rotate. That means it won't be the end of Clemens. He'll get in and get his chance to prove that he's grown from last year. And he's, valuable on special teams. But the question for me is, how much are we paying him? Because as much as I think that's a nice to have kind of thing, getting a Clowney, having that, keeping that defensive line really strong, because it's kind of the engine of our entire defense. I also worry about the thinness of our team in certain spots. We're very thin at safety. I mean, I like Clark, but Clark just missed a whole year though. And Adams is, I trust them. They believe they're developing. He's a good athlete. He wasn't bad last year. He wasn't great. But if we haven't signed Destin Davis, who's there? We're thin at safety. So we really got to shore up that position. Also, I'm not worried about linebacker or cornerback yet, but we are going to have the question of if we are going to be able to retain Reed, because we can't pay everybody. And I know people hate to hear that and they get so mad, but we can't. We can't pay everybody. You have to. This is the problem. Or you want to say problem? It's a good problem of having good players. It's really hard. Hopefully, we'll be able to find a way to retain him. But if we can't, we might be looking to the draft to find a replacement. Because a lot of people say, well, just let Michael Carter II go and keep Reed. I don't know about that. I don't know. It depends. It depends on, there's thinking of who's harder to replace. I don't want either of them to go. But yes, we're all in on this year, but at the same time, you can't just ignore the future. That's not the way JD, it's not what he was hired for. It's not the way to build a team. It's not the way to go year by year. To say the future means nothing. You have to have some balance. Now, I'll agree. The balance shifts much more to now, win now. But you can never completely abandon the football team in what direction you're heading. I want to take our best shot at the Super Bowl, but I don't want to suck starting 2026. I don't. I want there to still be a good core. I want to keep managing and having long-term goals and keeping this team where if we get the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, great, dream come true. But if we don't, the dream stays alive, at least through being competitive. We don't go back to being 2-15. That we at least stay at 10-17 while we find that new franchise quarterback. But just by getting any kind of competency in there, we could win 10 games because our team is so strong, because we're able to maintain a good team. Now, to do that, there's positions that we need help in. I already talked about safety. Offensive line. 60% of the offensive line is not signed for next year. All it is what, Tippmann. Is he the only one? I'm trying to think. Maybe, did we get the other guy to 2 years? I don't even know. Maybe Simpson is 2 years. I mean, we got nobody signed. And yes, I'm happy about this year, especially if they could stay healthy. But I also think you got to start thinking about next year, which is why I'm not automatically Bowers. Right? I mean, there's a lot of reasoning why it's not so easy to just say, oh, we'll just take Brock Bowers. The offensive line, we're short on tackle on the offensive line. This draft is not rich with offensive tackles. Now, I think there are a few in the later rounds that can be developed, but they're much more of a dart throw. And every statistic and every bit of data supports that. As you go down the rounds, the percentage of offensive tackles that start games and are relevant in the NFL go down. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take a tackle in the 6th round and get a start offensive tackle. That's not what I'm saying. But percentage-wise, it's a bigger roll of the dice. So, and that's true with every position. That's why people who say, well, the analysts don't know what they're doing, look at all the busts. No! The evidence that they know what they're doing is that the projected first-rounders that go in the first round have a much better chance of working out and succeeding in the NFL statistically. They do. And the 2nd round, better than the 3rd. And the 3rd round has a better chance than the 4th. I mean, it's literally, statistically, overall, very accurate. What is not accurate completely and can never be accurate is individual cases, outliers. So yes, we might be able to get a star tackle in the 5th round, but understand the likelihood of that is much less than getting a star tackle in the 1st round. I'm sorry if you don't, it's not about agree or disagree. There's data. It's factual. It's real. It can't be argued. People have taken and accumulated this data. It is real. It's like, I'm sorry if it's inconvenient and it doesn't fit the narrative that you want to have. But the reality is, yes, we could take a quarterback in the fourth round, but understand there's a 3.6% chance based on data since 2000 that that quarterback is ever going to be relevant. Because only 3.6% of quarterbacks selected after the second round have been relevant. Now you're going to think, oh, how could I have Brady and Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson? Yeah, you just basically named them. Mr. Irrelevant, Purdy, right? But after you name those 4 or 5 guys or whatever it is, do you know how many quarterbacks were taken that you never heard of and you can't name because they were never relevant? That's just the reality. So I'm not against taking a quarterback, but people are saying it like it's the solution and the way to find your quarterback. It's not. It's 3.6% effective. So as hard as it is to take a quarterback in the first round, and as often as they flop and bust, and we all know that story, it's much worse if you go after the second round. You're 3.6% based on historical data. So it's hard for me to say, yeah, let's use up a fourth round pick on a quarterback when I know that it's a very rich draft in interior offensive linemen, and it's a very rich draft in defensive tackles, and it's very common to find decent safeties and some defensive backs in the fourth round, especially JD's done it in the past. So there's lots of arguments and there's lots of discussion. It doesn't mean don't ever take a quarterback if you love a guy. It just means it's not so simple. So there's got to be a lot of thinking and thought put into the process. It's not as easy as, let's take our future quarterback, development guy. We'll develop him behind Rodgers. Like, it's so simple. It's only worked 3.6% of the time. Just reality. So offensive line is important. I still think we need another weapon. I mean, if Garrett Wilson, God forbid, knock on wood, or Michael Williams gets hurt, I mean, Lazard is wide receiver too. I mean, that's our reality right now. We don't know that Corey Davis is coming to us. There's rumors he wants to be closer to Tennessee. I don't know if there's any doubt like that he wants to be with us. Then I say we don't want him. Like, you left our team. Now you want to come back to the NFL. If you're not running to sign with us, if you're not pushing and trying to come back to us, then everything you said about team player and loving it here, it's all just, and it probably is for a lot of players, flack. But when you know it's just flack and it's just talk, then get the hell out of here, man. You abandoned us. You left us in a lurch. The least you could do is if you could come back, is we should be the primary team you're talking to. Otherwise, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. I got no interest in you. So if he's out there searching other opportunities, then don't come back. Don't come back on knocking on our door. We got to have some principles. We got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. By the way, he drops a lot of passes anyway. I mean, I like him. There's talent and potential there, but that's been the story of his entire career. Talent and potential. So it's not like it's not the end of the earth, and it certainly might not be the answer for us anyway, being that he hasn't played in a year. But we need another weapon. So we go into this draft with needs. It's not as severe as it was. We don't have the glaring gaping holes we had, right, where we didn't have the position. It's different. Now we're coming in and saying, okay, on paper, we got our 11 and our 11, and things are looking kind of nice. But now the question becomes, we're very thin. And championship teams usually aren't thin because injuries are such a big part of football. We have to have the next guy up. Now, we don't know that Carter Warren and Max Mitchell, we can make arguments. There's real arguments that both of them could be the real deal. They could be fine in coming in. We just can't rely on them. And why do I say that? Because Max Mitchell was very, very serviceable his rookie year. And then he had blood clots. And his entire second season, like, you have to understand, his off season after that first year, the entire off season, the training camp, everything was recovering from that rather than building himself up and growing as a football player. So we might have a very big rebound from Max Mitchell because he's healthy now and he's getting his first real offseason as a veteran player. The other thing is Carter Warren didn't have any offseason. He was injured. He hadn't played football in a really long time. He missed the last, couple of months of his college career. He had no training camp for us, so he's a rookie with no training camp, hasn't played, and is just literally, with I'm sure the practice squad kind of, right? He's just doing scrimmages and they're coaching him, and he's playing that way, getting healthy again and rehabbing and getting play ready. And then boom, we put him into an NFL game. I think the first game, I forgot, he was blocking some freaking all pro. And he didn't, I mean, he got owned kind of, but not as owned as other people, not as owned as Neil Smith got by Dallas. I mean, there's worse cases of offensive linemen, and we refused to give him help, which is, that's a whole coaching question. It's a whole nother discussion why we didn't give him help. And we left a lot of our offensive linemen in the lurch without providing help. But you know what? There were segments and series of play where Carter Warren actually did really well. I mean, like, surprising how serviceable he was, considering no training camp and rookie. He very conceivably, it's very conceivable that he could take a big step up with a real training camp and a full year of his body in the gym building up and all the things that college players do to transition to the NFL. We have no idea what his ceiling is. He could be a solid starting offensive lineman in the NFL. So we don't know what we have, which tells me we still need someone that we do know what we have. So there is a need, because we can't just go on, we hope. We're trying to win a Super Bowl here. Interior offensive line, we're not done. It's easy in the draft to address that. I hope that they do. It's very easy. It's a great year for interior linemen on the offense. And we'll see about wide receiver. And I look, like I said, Bowers is the kind of guy, I'm just kind of like in the middle on it. He's special. He is. He's very special. Whether he's an inline tight end or not, it doesn't matter. The point is, he's a matchup nightmare. So he is a weapon. Is he a better weapon for us in our system than getting like a guy like Odunze? If Odunze is the guy that's there? I don't know. Is it better than, should we just take the tackle? I don't know. It would be nice to come out with two offensive linemen that are going to be the future of this team, and to get that addressed to pair with Tippmann and maybe re-sign AVT and have the core four done for years to come. It would be nice, is all I'm saying. It's kind of a healthy thing to do as a football team, to focus on the offensive line. So I don't know what this video became about. But I hope you like it. And I hope that someone doesn't come in and say, I lost all respect for you, Jeremy, because I watched 30 seconds of your video and jumped to a lot of conclusions. I can't help everybody out there. I'm only giving my takes, guys. I'm just a guy in front of a computer screen. But if you like this video, hit the like button. If you don't like it, don't do anything. Don't tell anybody, especially not your neighbors. And, if you want to see more and you haven't, subscribe to the channel. It never hurts.